Hey, do you ever look at yourself and sometimes say, man, phew, I kind of judge people. Uh, I kind of, I kind of don't give them an opportunity to really find out who they are before I start to look at them and go, I don't know if I like this person. And I think that's the way that we are in the church sometimes. We have people walk in for the first time and we kind of go, oh, they're different than what I am, and they look different and sound different and dress different, and not sure if I really, not really sure if I want to be around them, and we kind of back away and go our separate ways and don't get to know those people. And Jesus was at the house of a Pharisee one time with his disciples, and they're all eating and they're having a great time, and all of a sudden this woman walks in, and she walks up to Jesus and she's crying. And she bows down before him. She opens up this jar of alabaster, which is this incredibly expensive perfume, probably cost her over a year's wages. And she anoints his feet with this perfume, and the smell of the fragrance, right? It fills the entire house, and it's wonderful. And she's crying, and she wipes Jesus's feet with her hair. And it's a touching moment, and Jesus is just like all in. And the Pharisee, whose house it is, starts to mumble and starts to grumble a little bit and says, boy, I'll tell you what, if he knew what kind of woman this was, he wouldn't be letting her touch him right now. And Jesus looked at him and he says, hey, Simon, here's the difference. She came in and she has been washing my feet with this incredibly expensive perfume. I came into your house and you didn't offer water to wash my feet, which is common practice. When she came in, she hasn't stopped kissing my feet. You didn't even give me a hug. You didn't embrace me. You didn't welcome me the way that normal people do. He said, tell me this. There was a story of a man who owed like a couple bucks to a guy. And then there was a guy who owed thousands. And the Lord who was due this money forgave both of them. And Jesus says to Simon, who do you think was more grateful? And Simon said, well, of course, the guy who owed thousands of bucks, right? And Jesus said, yeah, that's the difference between you and her. She is grateful because her sins were many, and she's forgiven. But for those whose sins are few, who don't really think that they're sinners that much, well, they're not as grateful. And I think that we in the church need to understand that sometimes, that we may not be as sinful as some of those sinners who come into our church, right? But that doesn't make them less grateful for what Jesus has done for them. You see, we all need to understand that we can look at each other and grade each other out on who's in and who's out. But honestly, only God can do that. And Jesus makes that clear. May God continue to pour out his grace, mercy, and blessings on each and every one of us until we get to meet again. Amen. Amen.